Hello, you're watching James. My name's James. You're watching me, and I am talking about watches. Well, it's time for another full in-depth review, and it's another full in-depth review of both an Aliexpress watch and another Pilot watch. Yes, I buy some Aliexpress watches. I actually quite like them. I buy them because I like them. And yes, it's another Pilot watch because I quite like Pilot watches and I like wearing them. So yes, another Aliexpress Pilot watch. This one here is the QM Pilot. It is available from Aliexpress, obviously, and there will be an affiliate link down below if you are interested. This one here costs 210 Australian dollars and comes in a couple of different colors. I obviously bought the black one, but there is also another color which I'll show you very shortly in the upcoming review. Now, if you click on that affiliate link and you have a read through that sort of listing on Aliexpress, you're going to know some strange stuff going on that advert, with that listing on Aliexpress. It's going to start talking about a watch which does not relate to this. I've spoken to the guys at that store, and from their end in China, they're not seeing what I see. And perhaps you guys may not see what I see, but what I see is a listing for another watch. Yes, it has the photos of this one on there. Yes, it has some information about this one on there, but it also seems to have a whole lot of information about another watch that they sell. I'm not sure if there's a bit of a glitch with Aliexpress or with this particular store. But what you can be ensured of is if you order the watch from that particular listing, the picture that you click on, which will look like this one here, is the watch that you will get. And that's why I want to do this full in-depth review of this one, to actually show you the dimensions and show you the movement, etc., like I always do in a full in-depth review. But just be mindful when you're looking at that listing, it may say some strange stuff, especially in the sort of narrative talking about what the watch is. And guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I really would appreciate if you just click on that subscribe button. But let's flip the camera around now and let's check out this QM Pilot from Aliexpress. So here we have my QM Pilot, the SM8021, featuring the ST3620. You can see it comes in this little sort of pouch here, which is actually quite a good little pouch to come in. It's a nice little travel case if you ever want to use it again. But it comes with some information saying thank you for your choosing us, which is quite nice. 2 extra spring bars, which is cool. Polishing cloth, and it came with these 2 extra straps as well, which was very cool. I don't think I'm going to use it on this watch. As you can see, I haven't even opened these ones, but these are actually kind of cool because I'll probably end up using them on some other watches that I have. So as I mentioned in the intro, disregard what's written onto that Aliexpress listing. It's completely wrong, including the dimensions. So let's jump in with the dimensions first, because if you do look, it's going to have some weird sort of dimension listing. This watch is actually 43.2 millimeters wide, 10.4 millimeters thick, 51.9 millimeters lug to lug, 22 millimeter lug width, and a weight with this strap, the one that I've been wearing it with, 73 grams. And if this is not the one that you like, well, it does come in a different color as well, which I actually think is really cool. I wouldn't mind actually owning both of these watches. But what have we got going on in the dial here? Because we've got like a matte black, which I think is quite good. It does feel quite large because of that larger case diameter, but I think it suits this style of watch. We have a railway track going around the edge, giving you your minute track, inner track with numbers. We got some loom here, some loom here. We got a sub-second registry at the 6 o'clock, as you can see. QM, which is the logo for this watch, and really, really long hands. Check out the length of that minute hand. It almost overlaps that minute track, which is quite interesting. I've never seen that before. And something I want to show right now, which is really impressive, is the loom about this watch, because the loom is fantastic. And those numbers, the 10, the 2, the 4, and the 8 are loomed as well, which I wasn't actually expecting. Really quite cool, really quite impressive. Actually quite surprised at how good the loom is, since this watch is fairly affordably priced. So this is all covered by a piece of mineral crystal. It is a flat piece of mineral crystal. It also has a flat piece of mineral crystal on the back. No sapphire here, unfortunately, but it doesn't sort of take away from how the watch looks or performs. Next thing is that polished bezel there, the solid bezel. Love this bezel. Love how it is sort of concave. It sort of circles inwards. And you'll see if I sort of zoom in, you'll see what I mean there. The one thing I like about that, or the 2 things I actually like about that, is it gives a little bit of a different texture, but it also catches the reflection. Because of it's sort of curved in that way, it really grabs onto light, and you do see it sort of sparkle like that, which is quite cool. On the side is all brushed, and it's nice to break that sort of polishing up. So we've got polished, brushed, and then you'll see a little bit of polish on the underside on that screw down case back. The other side we have obviously brushed as well, and there's sort of quite a large oversized crown, which some people are probably going to think it looks a little bit big and a bit funny, but I think it suits this style of watch. It's sort of meant to have this sort of bigger crown, and it certainly makes it easier to grab onto. Inside here we have a manual only seagull movement, so you can wind it nice and easy with this crown. It does not hack, but it only has one position to then adjust the time, as you can see. But it's a really nice action to use and a really sort of nice and easy crown to grab onto. And when you flip it over, you get to see that movement, which is I think one of the best parts about this watch, is being able to see this really cool movement. Yes, it's not a particularly expensive movement, but I think it's a great movement to look at. I certainly am starting to really enjoy these manual only affordable movements. They sort of look very cool. Certainly get more enjoyment out of looking at that than I do even more expensive movements. And surrounding that, you'll see the screw on case back, telling you that it has some water resistance of 10 atmospheres, being 100 meters. Now, the strap that comes with it is particularly good. I still haven't figured out whether it's real leather or not. I don't know what this thing is made out of. All I can say is that it is really, really comfortable and really, really nice. And I have not wanted to switch to any of the other watch straps that came with it or anything else, because I think it's really nice, really soft, suits the watch, and feels great on wrist. The hardware that comes with it is also very, very good. You can see it's brushed. You can see the thickness of that tang there. I do like a thick tang. I know that sounds a bit odd, but it is very, very true. And it ends up being a really nice watch then to wear on wrist. But before we do that, let's stick this one on the time grapher and see how it is performing. So I think for a $200 watch, I don't think anybody is going to complain about the figures that we see here. As you can see, it is beating at 21,600 vibrations per hour, 0.1 beat error, which is perfect. I'm perfectly happy with that. Very nice, healthy 303 amplitude, and it's running at 4 seconds per day fast, which is a perfectly acceptable sort of a rate, especially for an affordable mechanical watch. And how does it look on wrist? Well, I really like it. However, I do like this style of watch. I do like these larger piles. I think it sort of suits this style of watch, but you do need to keep in mind that it's a large lug to lug. So I think it only just fits on my 6 3/4 or 17 centimeter wrist. You can see it is sort of pushing the boundaries there, but I think because I like it so much, I'm sort of willing to give it a little bit of leeway there. But it's a watch that I've been wearing a lot, so I'm obviously okay with the size. Very, very comfortable. This strap it's incredibly how good this strap is. I really like it, and you can see how nicely it sits on wrist. Such a thin watch, having that manual only wind movement, it just sits really nicely. Some people mentioned that this might stick into the wrists. Well, I've been wearing this one a lot. It has not stuck into my wrist once, as you can see. I haven't even felt it or even noticed it, so that hasn't been a concern for me. So what do I like about this watch? What don't I like about it, and what would I change? Well, firstly, I like the looks of it. I think the dial layout looks really, really cool. Big solid hands, sub-second hand. I always do like a sub-second registry. I think it looks really, really cool. Fantastic loom. Certainly very, very legible. Probably the most legible watch I've ever come across. The strap is really nice. I like the case finishes. I think that's actually done so well, especially to watch this price. And I do love looking at that movement. But what don't I like about this watch? Well, there's not much. I think that minute hand is maybe just a tiny bit too long even. I'd probably bring it back 0.5 millimeter. Not a big deal by any means, but I actually think it might be slightly too long. There is a smudge on here, which is a bit of a shame. I haven't mentioned that. I did mention it in the first impressions. Realistically, I haven't noticed it too much as I've been wearing it and looking at this movement, but it is a shame to have a bit of a smudge on the back there, because I don't really want to start pulling this watch apart just yet, but I guess I could do that since it's an affordable watch. And I know people are going to talk about this crown. They have already. It does stick out a bit. It does look a little bit funny, but I personally think it suits this watch. So for me, it's not really a negative. So what would I then change about this watch? Well, there's not much. I would reduce that minute hand just a tiny bit. And yes, I'd probably like to shrink the whole watch down a little bit as well. It will then suit my wrist a little bit better. That certainly probably couldn't occur though, because I think a lot of the size of this watch is based around this movement. As you can see, the movement really does push out all the way to the edges. So I think they pretty much start with the movement and then build a case around that. And then that sort of gives us the size of the watch. The lugs there, you can see they're not particularly big, so we are sort of wearing that movement on wrist. So let's flip back to me now, give you some of my final positive thoughts about this one. One of the watches that I've been wearing the most lately. Now, when I clicked on that Buy It Now button on Aliexpress, when I looked at this watch and thought, oh, that looks really cool, I want to own it, I sort of had my fingers crossed saying, I really hope I like this watch. Try not to get my sort of hopes up too high because I don't want to be disappointed. And when it arrived, I loved it straight away. And I've continued to really enjoy this one. Yes, I do like pilot watches, but I don't like all pilot watches. I've actually had a few pilot watches arrive where when they've arrived, I thought, not really for me. So I am being a little bit particular. It's not just because it's a pilot watch that I love it. I love it because I really like this watch. I like how it sits, I like how it feels, I like how it looks, and I love seeing that movement in the back. And if you guys are interested in it at all, I can absolutely fully recommend this one because I've really been enjoying it. But as always, guys, I really do appreciate you checking out my video, talking about the review of this pilot watch, and I do hope to see you again, maybe in another pilot watch review. Who knows? See you then.